You're on, Greg.
Aloha to our candidates, our director, our guests. I'm Greg Misakian, president of Kokua Council, and we want to welcome everyone to our third Kokua Council candidate forum of the 2024 election year. Today, we welcome Choon James and Karl who are competing to be the next mayor of Honolulu. The winner of the seat will serve for 4 years and will set the tone for the city and county of Honolulu and Oahu. We invited all 4 candidates competing in this race to join us. Both the incumbent Rick Blangiardi and candidate Duke Bourgoin declined to participate. We are looking forward to learning more about the candidates, their positions on many of the issues that impact the city and county of Honolulu, and the issues that also impact all of the residents of Hawaii, as we know that the office of Mayor of Honolulu has a very broad impact to the state of Hawaii. We're looking forward to learning more about their plans for the future. And with that, I hand it over to Lila, the most recent president of Kokua Council, current president emerita, and the season moderator for these forums. She'll be moderating today, and I introduce Lila now so she can begin the candidate forum.
Aloha and mahalo for joining us. I'm Lila Moore, and I'll serve as moderator today. Let's start our forum with a 3-minute introduction from each of our candidates. Choon James, will you please start?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this and for supporting democratic processes. I have been involved at the Honolulu Holiday for over 2 decades. I'm originally from Singapore, and I have been a small business owner for over 30 years. And I'm also an organic farmer just for food sustainability. And I have been involved in a lot of community organizations and affairs from the Oahu General Plan Working Group to Save Oahu Farmlands, Defend Oahu, to protect public places, and so on and so forth. I'm originally from Singapore, and I understand that we have about 10,000 hardworking employees who operate the city daily. The mayor can be on vacation and no one will miss her or him, but our 10,000 hardworking employees are the one who keeps the city going. However, the mayor provides the direction and the culture. And I want to tell you that from being there over 20 years, I know the good, I know the bad, and I know the ugly. And I want to be the mayor who can provide the culture for a transparent, honest, and efficient government. I have no money from lobbyists or special interests. I cannot be bought or sold. And the tax and spend mindset must stop because we're not money trees. And above all, we must contain and reset the struggling Honolulu skyline. As mayor, I will make the bold decision to gather all the parties to unravel this sunken cost. And also that the people of Oahu will have a chance to participate in this real conversation again, because we cannot allow status quo to just happen to Oahu or lead us along, because so many of us are struggling. So many are working 2-3 jobs. And even seniors cannot retire because they have to keep up with the cost of living. So we got a million things to talk about, but I hope that you will go to my website, votechoon.com, CHOON.com. I humbly ask you to consider me. What is there to lose? So together, I hope that we can improve Honolulu for our sake and for our children. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Choon. All right, Karl, you're.
Aloha, and thank you for inviting me. It's unfortunate that our current Mayor Blangiardi isn't here, but it is what it is. I've been in Hawaii for 36 years. I'm more of a nuts and bolts guy. I've actually worked in sewers of the city and county. I grew up on a farm. Yeah, I'm some both on pretty much any department I can work in, function in, and I don't know all the exact details, but I'm pretty well versed. I've worked in many trades, grew up on a farm, and I just have a lot of life skills. A former city councilman, firefighter one, EMT, officer on the fire department. So around the block, and Honolulu is headed for some major issues. We can't keep depending on this tourism economy. It's going to fail, and we need to get some manufacturing. I'm a metal fabricator by trade, and I do manufacturing. And in the years that I've been doing that, anything that I can make here locally, I do make here locally. We need to promote that, and I'd like to start promoting a program where juniors and seniors in high school could work with businesses like an apprenticeship and stuff like that to get some hands-on training to see if they'd like the position or the trade. We need to get our younger people more involved, and that's where our future is here in Hawaii. We need to teach our children, give them opportunities here locally, keep them here local, and we can't keep sending our resources, which is our youth, to other places. We need to keep them here where they know how to live, and Hawaii is important to them. So we need to keep our youth and our students here, and we need to make more local opportunities for that to happen. I don't see any reason why Hawaii can't be a manufacturing, capital. We're in the middle of the Pacific. We can ship all different directions. There's ways to do it. If you want to do it, you'll find a way, you'll make a way. And there's so much potential here in Hawaii. We don't have other issues like many other places. We just need to get some good leadership and get pointed in the right direction. I'm for more manufacturing, trade with other countries, and we can work on the Jones Act and work with the other people. The state level, they are higher than us, but the city and county of Honolulu has a lot of influence over the state and how we function. It's the largest city and county, and we've got a lot of things that need to be worked on, and I'm up for the task. So thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. You can read the question along with me. The incumbent, Mayor Rick Blangiardi, declined to participate in not only Kokua Council's Mayoral Candidate Forum, but any debates or forum with the other candidates. Why do you think he doesn't want to participate? Can you tell us your opinion about the importance of having election debates and forum for the public? So this question starts with, goes to you, Karl.
Okay. I don't really want to put words in his mouth or disparage anything, but I went to all 11 town halls with Blangiardi, and I got to know him fairly well, at least a lot better than most people, I think. And part of the reason, I think, is because he knows what I've been doing since 2020 when I ran for mayor. I've been hammering the courts, hammering the politicians, and asking the tough questions and filing court cases. Since 2020, I've filed over 30 court cases against the corruption here in Hawaii. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. And I try to get lawyers to, help. They won't help. They won't assist. They don't want anything to do with it. And I have all of my court cases and all my evidence is on the record in the Jeff system. And I know why the homeless problem is bad and getting worse, because our courts are profiting from it. And I don't have to make this up. It's all in the court record. Hundreds of thousands of cases are dismissed under homeless people's names. And there's other crimes that are dismissed in our court system. We've got a lot of corruption, and my guess is he didn't want to, deal with those issues because it's pretty rampant and it's pretty blatant. Other than that, I think he's a good man, but to be mayor of Honolulu at this time, it's going to take somebody with some real fortitude, and you're going to have to stick your neck out there, and maybe it'll get chopped off. Who knows? But I've been putting my neck out there and on the line for over 4 years since I ran 2020. And I say it how it is. I don't have to make anything up. It's all in our court system records, and I can prove everything I say beyond the shadow of a doubt. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Karl. Choon, your answer, please.
Yes, thank you so much. I believe in free speech, and this has got to be one of the most terrible election year we ever had. The minute the political machine said there is no debate, then there's no debate. The corporate media just all circle the wagon around this mayor. And it's also unfortunate that PBS was willing to provide a mayor's forum for Big Island with a population of 200,000. And there is no, even though there were a lot of people who were asking about it. And I am just so incensed by this because it's not about us, it's about protecting the democratic process. You may want to know that the mayor hired the former news director of Hawaii News Now for his communications director, which is good, but he also recently hired a new chief of staff, and that chief of staff is an executive TV person from New York. And it is just very unfortunate that this mayor has decided to manage Honolulu Hale through a very carefully manipulated social media narrative. What he says is what he wants you to know. He is saying that he's portraying himself as a very transformative leader and so on and so forth. And everything that's put out in the media is what he wants you to hear. That to me is a very dangerous trend. And I hope that you will protest, tell the people, talk to the press, write letters to the editor, because again, it's not about me, it's about protecting the democratic process. I am certainly opposed to a mayor who is surrounding himself with so much PR resources at the courtesy of us taxpayers. So thank you really for doing this. You are one of the few who are willing to stand up and say, hey, let's have a robust dialogue. Mahalo.
All right. Pressing issues for the state is the lack of affordable housing. Earlier this year, the state enacted Act 39, which increased the capacity for greater density in communities with qualified residential zoning. Until now, land use or zoning has been a county decision. What are your thoughts about this change? Does this act address or exacerbate the problem of affordable housing? So Choon, you're first, please.
Yes, that's one of the my interests, because I have been involved with city land use, been involved with the Oahu General Plan, the Ko'olau Loa General Plan, Waianae, Kailua. And you know, one of my biggest disappointment again is that the mayor was a no-show. He did not say anything. He kept quiet. If I were the mayor, I would have said, no ways, because Oahu is not the same as the Big Island. Oahu is not the same as Kauai. We in Oahu have a very powerful Oahu General Plan that is in place for decades with thousands of people who have participated in it. And they have put in their efforts and they put in their opinions. And so that it will protect the various qualities and culture and happiness of the people. Some like condo building and some are country miles. So we need to provide all the kind of options out there. But to me, the most concerning thing is that the state is undermine county rule. And as a mayor, I would have said, hey, wait a minute here, you guys know your kuleana and allow us county people to take care of our own kuleana. I mean, it's not that we're not going to work with the state, but there are certain processes that has been in place, and their ordinances and their land use plans and all sorts of things. And yet the mayor kept quiet about it. And I also testify because as I studied the bill, I realized that there was no assurance whatsoever, no guarantee whatsoever that local residents will be promised affordable housing. There is no protection for them for affordable housing. And we can go back again, but how affordable is affordable? Are we just going to keep building so that we're going to allow more people to come in and then price the local people out? And by the way, the Department of Planning and Permitting already has in existence about 80,000 entitled building, but nothing is done. It's just sitting there. Thank you. I'm out of time.
Thank you very much. Karl, your response.
Yeah, I figured this would come up. Affordable housing is a political catchphrase. What does it mean exactly? I'm somewhat of a wordsmith. Affordable housing, what does that really mean? Affordable to who? Affordable what kind of housing? And it's just a political catchphrase. I've been here 36 years and nothing has changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. Nobody has a solid plan to fix anything, and that's what politicians do. I'm more of a fix-it guy. Look at the situation. One of the biggest things that I see is the outside influence on Hawaii. Developers. I'm a metal fabricator. I dealt with some really, really big time developers on several projects, and it's the money. That's why affordable housing doesn't ever get fixed. It brings in too much money and lines too many pockets, and that needs to stop. We need to get back, think local, work local, live local, protect the local families, and affordable housing is just a political catchphrase. We need real housing solutions, and a plan, and put the plan in effect and push that plan, work with the other departments and agencies. Department of Planning and Permitting, I do designs, I've pulled permits, I've written permits, I've worked several large projects. I know how the Department of Planning and Permitting works or doesn't work for that matter. And there's payoffs and kickbacks, as the news has caught a few. We need to get the corruption out of the housing market, and that's going to fix it. And get rid of the corruption, have a good solid plan, and move forward with that. And I yield.
Thank you. Let me post the next question. All right, Karl, you'll take this question first. The recent state Supreme Court ruling, Grants Pass versus Johnson, made it easier for cities and communities throughout America to address the problem of the homeless sleeping and living on the streets, sidewalks, and in parks. What is your position on this, and what will you do regarding the homeless if you become mayor?
This is a great question. I love this one. In 2020, my campaign manager was threatened with 4 citations that were bogus, made up citations. And the week before, well, he went to court. He would have lost his job. He would have lost his base pass. It would have really messed up his life. So he went to court, and they said, well, that's been dismissed. Why are you here? And he said, what? So I have paid access to the Jeff system, and I looked it up. And sure enough, the week before his court date, it was dismissed. So I dug a little deeper and I asked, well, who's Paula Choi? He goes, I don't know any Paula Choi. His 4 bogus citations were dismissed under a homeless person's name. And his 4 citations was 1 or 4 of 27 on the whole page of citations that were dismissed under homeless person's name. And this is more, and when I've been trying to bring it up and people say, well, it's just a homeless thing. No, I did a little rough math in the homeless situation and doing this in the court system. In 3 years, cost us taxpayers 25,000 man days, 25,000 8-hour days lost of productivity of the police department, our courts. That's huge. And that's just some rough searching and rough math. The homeless, the courts are using them for profit. The political machine is using them for threats. And, oh, you have a nephew that has a DUI. We can get that dismissed. Now it's going to cost you 20,000, but we'll just run it under a homeless person's name and yeah, it'll all go away. There is so much corruption in our court, and it's all on the court record. I don't have to make this up. I saw it, and had they not threatened me or my campaign manager, I never would have found it. Who would look under a homeless person's name to find anything like that? The homeless are valuable to the corrupt political system, and I doubt that it's just here in Hawaii. With that, I yield.
Thank you. Choon, your turn, please.
Thank you. This is an excellent question. And I say again, I'm from Singapore. So we look at problems and solution very logically and in a very pragmatic way. I've been gone for a long time, but there's still a lot of Singapore in me. So my first comments are that I was against those sit and lie bills when it first came out, because it did not make sense to just get rid of the homeless people in one area and then they moved to another area, and they do in the wee hours of time, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were throwing their medication and their records, and how could that even make sense? But anyways, the way that I think that we need to cure this affordable housing is to address the affordable housing issue with questions. How many billions of dollars has Oahu received from the federal, state, county, and other public funding for the past 10 years? We have never been able to get an answer. And how affordable is affordable? There are many different sections of the houseless people that we have to be concerned of. Some are living from paycheck to paycheck, and some do have mental capacity problems, and some are substance abuse, and some have been kicked out of their home because of their lifestyle, and so on and on. So we need to separate them all. To me, just trying to buy an affordable housing building at whatever cost and just trying to put people in there is not good enough, because first we must take care of the cost and make sure that we have a good ROI in using city funds. I mean, return on investment. We can't be just throwing good money out there and saying, oh yeah, we bought this and this is good. So there are many issues that we need to talk about.
Thank you very much, Choon. You'll take the next question, which comes from Doug. Doug, are you there?
I am here, thanks. This is about affordable housing, but from the renter's point of view. 13 states and actually many nations have some form of rent control. Germany, for instance, where I was visiting. Are you willing to consider some form of rent control as a method of making housing more affordable, particularly for seniors? And this question. should
Hi,
be
Doc. Yes, I
Hi.
am. Is it to me? Sorry. Sorry, is it to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. So yes, as a mayor, I think a mayor's job is to be open to everything, to every consideration and every group and every dialogue. But I do want to say, going back to Singapore again, the affordable housing is done in a very subtle way, and it's not publicly said. But I have friends there who have been paying $30 a month for a very long time. Why? Because the government caters the rent to the income of that person. Here we have the HART, and supposedly we all have to be making about 130 thousand a year to be just over the low income. So if we can cater to the specific income of the resident, that would make so much more sense. And again, we also need to support those property owners who are renters, as well as those who are renting. I just talked to a landlord yesterday, and she was complaining, I have been renting to this family for a very long time, and I have never increased the rent. And the government has now put it under residential A, which pretty much almost triple her property taxes. And then she said, what am I supposed to do? I'm retired, I am on Social Security, and here I am having this huge property tax increase. And this has been an issue that I've been talking a lot in a very long time, that we need to also help landlords, because the landlords are providing a housing service for those who are renting. And we have about 40% renters in Oahu. And so it is really up to the city to look at all these needs in an overarching way, so that we cannot be saying, oh yeah, we want to help affordable housing here and we want to do this. And then on the other end, you are pushing landlords out of the system.
All right. Karl, I believe it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm not so much for government regulation of anything. But I would consider temporary rent control as a tool, it's not a solution. We, the people, are the solutions, and we need to fix this, but as government should use this and other tools with a definite sunset date. And they come up with these new programs and this new this and new this, and then it goes on forever and ever, and it causes more problems, more regulation, more issues, more of this. I'm not for government regulation. We, the people, can figure it out. We're not as dumb as they think we are. And I mean, we manage our household, we manage to raise families, we manage to work. We can do this as a community. We can come together, but I would use like rent control and other ideas that would retire and sunset, because we're already regulated, and look where we are. Has it really fixed anything? No. Government rarely fixes anything, and then they were stuck with this stuff. I actually, for every new regulation, I'd like to see old ones repealed and uncomplicate our government, uncomplicate our city, uncomplicate how everything runs, because the more complicated it gets, the more it costs. And the more problems we have, the more issues we have. Yes, as a temporary solution, yes, I would consider rent control while we work on the other issues. Number one, get the corruption out, get the outside money out, and we can do this together. Yeah, I'm not for government regulation. but it is a good tool in a temporary status. And with that, I yield.
Thank you. All right. Let me pose the next question. Many seniors own their own homes, but because they're on fixed incomes, can't afford property tax increases. Would you consider property tax caps for owners of a certain age that would allow them to remain under roof? First question again goes to Karl.
Thank you. There again, as a temporary measure, yes. And the property taxes, see, Honolulu doesn't have a money problem. We have a spending problem. And until we get our spending under control, we're going to try to raise everything over and over and over. We need to get our spending under control, get rid of the excessive programs that just waste money on things we don't need. And I would consider that when you're elderly and you've paid all these taxes and you've paid off your home, you've served your time. And I think that'd be a nice way to, help out our elderly, and it would be a good idea. And but eventually we could get things under control, get rid of the government overbearing regulations and spending out of like crazy sailors, and move in a different direction.
Thank you. Choon, your answer, please.
Okay, we're talking, I'm sorry, I was just, sorry, just a minute. Let me find that question again.
And I'm going to ask
many seniors, many seniors, right? Is that the one?
Yes, that's the one. And
Yeah.
just let me just interrupt for a moment. May I ask everyone else to please refrain from using the chat at this time? Thank you very much. Go ahead, Choon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yes, I have been actually talking about a property tax cap for our kupuna for a very long time. Coming from a real estate point of view, I have seen so many of our seniors who are increasingly being priced out. So the strange thing is that as you get older and you go into the, revere senior stage, your salary, if you retire, is cut into half. And so on the other hand, the city thinks that every property owner is a low-hanging fruit. And so they can just tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend with no thought to our senior citizens who really need help. And in my opinion, I want to have a cap on senior residents who have lived in their homes for more than 20 years. I wish I could say 10 years, 15 years, but based on the budget that the city has, something like that, so that they can live in comfort and they can have the assurance that their family would be able to stay with them, and that they are able to afford. That is such an important thing. But you know what? I've been told we don't have money. We don't have money for your ideas. But if we can control the Honolulu Rail run across, costs, we can do this and do a lot of other nice things. Because I know that there are people who are hired for $500K as consultant for the rail, and then they in turn hire more $500,000 K consultants. So there's just money everywhere, but it's just a matter of priority. And coming from my real estate experience and real estate standpoint, our kupuna, our kama'aina are the ones who are holding Oahu together. They are the glue, they are the culture. They offer stable environment to Oahu, and we must really do something. Otherwise, we'll all be seeing each other in Las Vegas.
All right, well, I'm trying to post the next question. There it is. The city and county support safety code compliance, such as the recent mandate on fire sprinkler systems in older condominiums. Adopting up-to-date building codes is one of the most important steps the city can take to protect the public, safety, and infrastructure. Under the governor's proclamation relating to affordable housing, the 2021 International Building Code was adopted unamended. With the Department of Planning and Permitting understaffed, how will you enforce the updated codes? And this question goes to Choon
All
first.
right, thank you. You know, I understand the angst that everybody's going through. You not only have that to comply with, you also have your crazy insurance and increases and so on, and maintenance fees and so on and so forth. As mayor, I can guarantee you that I will listen to the most affected people. And that to me is really important, because a lot of times we would just, like you say before, we would just keep having laws and more rules here and more rules there and more rules there, and then not thinking that there are multiplier impacts to the rules that the city makes. Even though it is the legislators, the city council who make all these rules, the position of the mayor do also have some heavy weight. So the city council will make, all the rules and legislations they want, and the mayor on the executive side is supposed to follow them. But before that, certainly we would look at it and give input and say, hey, this might not be a good idea. You are just imposing too much rules and too much complications too quick. Have you talked with the affected parties? Have you gleaned from their experience and their solutions? Because I have found that the people with the best solutions are the people who are in the front line, in the trenches, because they're living through it. And seriously, legislators or mayors or whoever should not be like governing from the ivory tower or from the desktop. We have too many desktop decisions maker who really do not have a good hold on the issues that their decisions will be affecting people on the front line. And so I will be very open. I will be very open to hearing from other people.
Thank you. All right, Karl, your response.
Yeah, okay, thank you for this. As I've stated before, I'm not for new regulations, over-regulating, and I said it before. We the people are not stupid. We're not that dumb. We can keep ourselves safe. And the newer construction, yes, new codes I agree with for safety reasons, because it's much more cost efficient to put it in as you're building. To go in and put these new sprinkler systems in these older buildings that weren't designed for it, it's going to just disrupt the people's lives living there. It's going to cost major money. And some of these high rises have been around since the 40s, and they haven't had an issue. Just because there's been a few accidents, well, life happens. And government overregulation in many states isn't really the answer, because it causes more burden and more problems and more issues. And actually, it causes the public to be more lazy. Oh, I don't have to worry about it. The government will handle it. The government will take care of me. No. We need to take personal responsibility for our family. If you've got a messy condo and it could catch on fire, you should clean it up. You should be, safety conscious yourself. Not depend. Government's not there to change diapers, and government's not there to do your laundry. Government's not there to wash your windows and all this stuff. We can do it. And new construction, absolutely. Update the codes and do it, because that's the time to do it. This retrofit, retro this and retro that. No, it's not a good thing. And it's just another burden on the taxpayer who's already paying too much property taxes and got all these regulations and all this other overbearing stuff coming at them every day. No, we don't need to put more on them.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm posting the next question. There's been a lot in the news about pay to play at the Department of Planning and Permitting and delays in obtaining permits. The mayor appointed the head of the department who also makes general statements and says things are better when the public office often says the opposite. What do you think of the mayor's appointees, and would you make changes at DPP or in other departments if you become mayor? Karl, the question is yours.
Yes, our planning and permitting needs some major changes. They need to step into at least the 13th or 14th century and get more into the digital age, and the play to pay is very real. I've been in the business for 30 some years. If you want a permit, I know who you can call, and I can take a wild guess at how much it's going to cost. And everybody knows it. The first time they caught somebody at the Department of Planning and Permitting, and they said, oh, they were buying permits, I just started laughing, because I'm like, everybody knows that and nobody does anything about it. And we need a better system, streamlined, and people do that because they can't get through the system. The system is not working, it's not efficient, and there's better ways to do it, and better we can check, see how many eggs is in our refrigerator at any given time. I can look at my cameras through Wi-Fi, and we still have to take months and months and months to review permits. That we're causing, the government is causing the problem, and people are lining their pockets, and they're perfectly happy with the way it is, and that needs to stop. We need good courts to enforce the white collar crimes, and we're doing a little better on that. That is true. Some people are getting busted, but the system is still broken. And they have upgraded some in recent history, but we need a better program. We need a better vision. We need a better plan. And that's how you fix it. It's not going to happen overnight. That's for sure. But if you start moving that direction, it'll get easier and easier. And this problem will fix that problem, and that problem will fix this problem. And once we turn it back the other direction, it'll get a lot easier. But somebody's got to have the fortitude to step up and do it.
Thank you. Choon, your answer, please.
Yes, thank you. This is one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor. It is so frustrating to watch what's going on. Haven't been in real estate for over 30 years and haven't been involved in a small kind construction. Yes, there is a lot of things that I would change there. But having said that, I also appreciate that there are many workers who are very hardworking and who do the best they can. We need to, again, look at it logically. We should not be allowing developers and special interests to control the city. For example, we really ought to just segregate some of the jobs. You know, if it's a small homeowner who just needs to repair a deck or just need to add a room, you know, let's just help them and get it going, right? And to have then independent people doing the bigger jobs. And I know that you all have heard that there were 6 that were indicted for wrongdoing. I also know that this problem at DPP has affected a lot of people. It's very hard today to buy a piece of land or to get a construction loan because lenders do not want to loan anymore because they say that they're having such a big inventory. And they need to be consistent. I mean, DPP should not be going after a kupuna who has built a ramp, versus those big people who have more egregious action fine them. But I think the most egregious is Bill 106 at the state legislators, where this mayor had asked the state legislator to allow DPP to become the police, the jury, the judge, and the executioner. I don't have time to get into that, but just Google that, Bill 106, that we fought him for 3 years. Licensed professional, if they are licensed, DPP should give them a lot of credence. Licensed engineer, licensed architects. Thank you.
All right, let me post the next question. Let me try to post the next question. It is widely accepted that trust and confidence must be restored in our government. So we're interested in your fundamental values, the content of your character. What steps, if any, will you take to imbue ethics and address corruption in our county government? So this question goes to Choon first.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. You all are asking very good questions, the fundamental questions that make our democratic society work. To me, I feel that the public office is an office of privilege, and we must have the desire to honor it and to protect the sacred office of a public elected office. So I do not have any money from bankers, developers, lobbyists. I do not have any of that. In fact, I have people asking me, oh, can I donate something to you to help you in a campaign? My answer is, don't donate to me. The best thing you can do is to vote for me and tell your friends to vote for me. So the fundamental value is that we cannot this public office to anybody, because this is a public office for the people. And this is why my campaign slogan is residents first. Residents first. Money cannot buy elections. It should not buy elections. And I know that the mayor has received over 1.75 million. And what was irritating to me was that his first 6 months of being a mayor, he collected over 600,000 from bankers, developers, real lobbyists, and so forth. And that compromises the public position. I do not believe in pay to play. In fact, I abhor play to play. I abhor money buying elections. I can tell you that I will be very independent so that we can restore the trust. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be agreeing with everyone and everything, obviously. But the idea is that we must protect the public position, and we must, above all, protect the people so that they can trust us for those who are in there occupying that seat.
Thank you very much. Karl, your answer, please.
Yeah, this is a big problem. The biggest problem is enforcement. We don't have a system of enforcement to enforce the corruption and the violations. We don't have a good enforcement system in our courts, and that needs to change, and which is difficult But that's where or people say that we can get it through the ballot box. Before mail-in ballots, maybe. And now that we have the mail-in ballots, we can't fix anything through our voting either, because that's corrupt. So they pretty much got it locked down, and we need to get our election process back, restore the integrity of our elections. And that's one way, but we need to get our court system figured out. The way it is right now, the court protects the crooked politicians who appoint the court justices. There's no double check. There's no enforcement. There's no cross check. So the governor, if he's crooked, he appoints crooked judges, and the crooked judges support and defend the politicians who are violating the laws. It's like the fox guarding the hen house, and that's what we've got. That needs to stop. It needs to change, and our elected officials need to put some checks and balances in place, and then enforce them through the court system. I've been fighting this for over 4 years, and somebody had the question in the chat before. The only solution that I see is going to the federal government and asking for enforcement there, because they've tied our hands. They've taken our elections. Our elections is what set us apart from the rest of the world. And we've lost our elections. We've lost the integrity in the elections. And from there, everything goes downhill. So, yeah, we need to get this under control, and we need to have checks and balances and enforce them. And people just need to take personal responsibility and step up.
Thank you. So Karl, you just answered what might be our next question, but you're first. And so let me read the question. What is the mayor's role in our island's law enforcement system? Talk about reasonable, intermediate, and long-term reforms the mayor of Honolulu could offer regarding law enforcement and our justice system.
Yeah, I like this question. And our law enforcement, that is a problem, because HPD, the public outcry is homelessness, and they're writing hundreds of thousands of tickets. And then the prosecutor's office just flushes them through the court system and makes money off it and uses it for other. The prosecutor and the mayor need to start working together, as they should and as they do in most cities. In the 11 town halls, our prosecutor only showed up once, and that was because he was invited by me to come because I wanted to expose this homeless issue. If you have no prosecution, you have no law enforcement. As many tickets as you want, and if they just flush them out of the system or don't enforce the crimes, catch and release program in the courts has got to stop. There's got to be accountability. By writing all these citations to the homeless, you're endangering our police officers and creating an artificial shortage of police officers. You're endangering the public welfare because they're writing tickets when they should be fighting the other crime. Yes, the homeless, is a problem, but the court doesn't see it that way. The court is using them for their own means. And so the prosecutor needs to step up and work with the mayor, work with the city council on enforcement. Currently, that's not happening. And I tried it. Example, this time, the city prosecutor ran unopposed. How's that going to fix anything? People need to step up and be, a part of your community. We, the people, are the answer. And until the prosecutor starts working with the mayor and the city council as a team with the same plan and work out a plan together, law enforcement's just going to get worse and weaker and weaker and weaker. The city prosecutor is elected, the city council is elected, the mayor is elected, and that's the checks and balances. And it's not happening. The city council doesn't really work with the mayor or the.
Thank you. Choon, your response, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I just was saying that we love our HPD. We cannot pay them enough, or their families enough for the public service. They put their life on the line for our public tranquility and also peace in our communities, and they deserve our gratitude and respect. And we want our HPD and other emergency personnel to return home in peace each time out of the door. But having said that, we must also make sure that we are consistent, that we must have oversight, and that we must improve. We know that SHOPO is involved, the police, the Honolulu Police Commission is involved, and I think we're all in the same good place. We all want a peaceful, a safe, and a tranquil society so that we can all live in peace. Having said that, I'm from Singapore. So we're very strict, and I certainly believe in broken windows, responding with the broken windows system or syndrome is that when the small things, you don't let it go past, because then those small things become bigger things. And that's when the prosecution come in. I can tell you, having talked with so many HPD members, they are frustrated to no end because they can have citation, they can arrest somebody, and the next minute, they're out. So we have to for them to, and again, as mayor, I would again pull everybody together and bring us all back to the basics. The Honolulu City Charter already have very lofty goals and parameters. We don't need to make any new rules. We just need to say, hey, let's go back to basics. Let's go back to remembering what our society is about. We deserve a safe, happy, and tranquil environment to live in. I will certainly work with everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, I'm posting the next question. And let me just be sure. All right, Choon, you will take this question. What are your thoughts about Resolution 22-295, which was adopted and amended, which was adopted and amended the Sunshine Law, affecting the opportunity for interested persons to provide oral testimony on any agenda item remotely for any meeting of the council or its committees, and empowering the council to decide what matters will be placed on the council agenda?
I am totally for an open government, for the public to have every media to participate. I'm very concerned that even with the recent 64 salary increase controversy, the whole island was just up in arms. And I was so concerned, and I testify against it, against the fact that the chair refused to hear certain resolutions because he simply didn't want to. By the power of that position, they can actually withhold what goes on the agenda and what doesn't. And to me, that is like so undemocratic. The people have the right to be heard. To me, free speech protects all kinds of speeches and all kinds of public participation. Free speech protects the things that we don't want to hear or the things that legislators do not want to hear. But as a citizen in a democratic society, we have the right to be heard. we have a right to due process. And, though, I hope that so many people will show up more often at the city council. A lot of the times, there are very few people. And so those legislators think that they can do anything they want. But having said that, when there are crowds and groups of people come and protest, they will still vote against overwhelmingly public participation. But I believe in the democratic system. The US Constitution, the free speech has worked for hundreds of years, and it remains to be the best system for a democratic party of our own here. And you are a good example. You all are a good example. You are pushing it and you're providing it. And I hope that we can all continue in this quest to say, hey, we the people are the ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Choon. Your question, Karl?
Yes, thank you. There's already established procedures and city council too. We have this thing called Robert's Rules of Order, and it addresses the order of the processes, the procedures, and all of that stuff. We don't need more laws, more regulation, and to alter the Sunshine Law so that the city council can dictate what the people can and can't talk about. That's out of order, and I don't agree with it. But there again, there's procedures, and I'm very well versed in Robert's Rules of Order, and I see a little bit of a comeback of Robert's Rules, but we need to have more people who are in office that know the Robert's Rules of Order and the procedures and know how to use them. And they're powerful. They've been around for a very long time. They're well established and process. And we can do this, but it's going to require more people stepping up. And if we can get our spending under control so people will have time and money so they can show up to council meetings, they can go to these hearings, that's going to be a benefit to everybody. It's like I'm saying, a little here, a little there, giving it back to the people, giving the people the power is going to make big changes for everybody. And it's just little here, and give it back to the people. Give the responsibility, and the people will get more involved, and they will see things. Now everybody's just so disgusted. My voice doesn't matter. And like Choon said, they go in and they give testimony and they just completely ignore the testimony. I just witnessed that 3 meetings on the election commission. Scott Nago was not reappointed 3 times, overwhelming testimony on the horrible job he's been doing. And guess what? They wrote a letter and reappointed him anyway. That doesn't work. We need to stop that and nip it in the bud and give it back to the people, start listening to the people, and things will go a different direction. I yield.
Thank you. The next question, very simple. Please tell us your thoughts about the Rail and HART. We start with you, Karl.
Well, my mom taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. But it's just sad. The theory, the rail is a slush fund. That's all it is. And the ridership, I see it almost every day, 2 or 3 people. Oh yeah, ridership is up now. There might be 6 people on there. And it starts in the middle of nowhere. And it basically goes nowhere. It's poorly designed. It's poorly thought out. We could have done so much more with all that money. How about, we've got one of the best bus systems in the world. Let's spend some money on that. That would be more effective use. For example, there's no bus service in Pearl City Industrial Park. How are people supposed to work up there? You know, they're trying to get us out of our cars, but if you want to work in Pearl City Industrial Park, there's no bus service. And Campbell Industrial Park, for the longest time, had no bus service. And until I raised enough and hammered them enough, now Campbell has bus service. People, you know, you can want this and push people to do that, but if you ride the rail, is that going to get you to where you need to work? The bus service, our money would have been much better spent upgrading our bus service and expanding routes. My wife rides the bus practically every day. She goes all over the island. We have the best service. If you have a good program, fine tune that, fine hone that, and make it better. Would you want to keep fixing your old car, or buy something that you don't know if it's going to work, if it's going to serve your purposes? If it's working, use that. It was a boondoggle, and I don't know what we're going to do with it now, but I don't see it really going anywhere. It's a slush fund for politicians, and we never should have done it. There's other solutions that are already up and working, up and running.
Thank you. Choon, your answer, please.
Yes. The Honolulu Rail started in 2006 at 2.7 million, and it's now nearly 12 million and growing and incomplete. And we are also frustrated by it because all our property taxes are going through the roof. Car registration is going through the roof. In fact, in 2012, there was a federal Porter report that warned the city that it can either support the rail at a much lower price, or it will have to forego its core city services. And here, everything, all the warnings from Panos, from Cliff, from Bankai Tunnel are all coming to fruition. We are struggling, and all the city wants to do now is to just increase property taxes. Increase property taxes and not care about the impacts on our local residents with that crazy cost of living going up and up. So Natalie Iwasa, who is a CPA and a certified fraud examiner, she and I are partners in crime, and we've been testifying for decades, asking for more fiscal accountability, and we never ever get it. And so as mayor, what I would like to do is to gather all the people together, HART, City Council, and so on. And we are going to hire independent experts who are not beholden to anybody. And again, I can do that because I don't collect any money from real lobbyists or from developers or for anybody. We want to get them together and ask the hard questions, have experts from procurement, experts from legal contracts, get everybody together and just tear the whole thing apart, re-examine, reassess, so that we, with the people involved, we can decide what is the best way to go from here. That has got to be the only way, because we cannot allow status quo to just continue to let us get into this sunken cost fallacy, because it is going to lead to very bad future for our children and for their children.
Thank you. All right, the next question will also go to Choon. Please tell us your thoughts about Red Hill, the Board of Water Supply, resource sustainability, and the legal responses to these issues.
Thank you so much. This is a very important question because water is life. We can survive without a lot of things, but we cannot survive without clean water. And I have been involved with my friends. I have friends who have been negatively impacted by by this issue. And again, the environment is so important. We are just a little small island. We have got to think 7 generations ahead, because if we don't, we are going to regret, and the future generations are going to curse us rather than bless us. And the bottled water supply, I am so proud of Ernie Lau. He has been a consistent, steadfast spokesman for the board of director and for the public, because he knows. In fact, I just talked to him about a few weeks ago, and we're talking about the aquifer and all the water issue. We really have to be so serious. And I am an environmentalist by heart. I believe in clean water, clean air, clean food, and clean government. Again, back to the water, we also have to be always planning with an overarching view. People are complaining like, hey, why are they building more and more and more when we are having such a huge Red Hill contamination problem? Yeah, those are valid concerns, and those are all issues that need to be brought into the public dialogue. And again, it ought to be our residents first. We cannot have a mainland so-called experts from New York, from Missouri, from California, and just telling us their Harvard expertise on our little island, which they've never lived in, but maybe visited. So again, it's back to residents first. We, the people, have got to have the last say, and we, the people, have got to be able to have a seat at the table.
Thank you, Karl. Your response, please.
Yeah, this is a great question. And I agree. Ernie Lau, he does the best he can, but the infrastructure here on Oahu has become so large, so overwhelming, and they have no real good solutions for it. I'm currently working on a solar water purification system that you could have at your individual house. We need to start moving towards I met with my city councilman here a few weeks ago, and I said, well, I think the city and county of Honolulu should start doing my laundry. And he looked at me really weird. I said, the city and county need to start looking at, they can't babysit, they can't change the diapers, they can't wash the clothes, they can't provide all this stuff. And that's the other thing. The city and county of Honolulu needs to become more local. We need to have more city councils, more mayors dealing, and that's the other thing I got from the town halls. Every community has their own specific issue, and it's not being dealt with. And water is one of them. Water is going to be a big problem in our very near future. And hopefully I can get this solar water purification system up and running. And it's for individual. We need to think of what individuals can do. Each resident, we're going to have the high rises, and we're still going to use some infrastructure, but getting bigger and bigger and bigger is going to have bigger and bigger problems that we can't handle, we can't control. We need to start taking personal responsibility and individualizing. Imagine if nobody had a washing machine in the city and county, had to do everybody's laundry. That's a bad direction. And like the sewage is the same thing. If we can treat the sewage at the individual house or residence, rather than all the pipes in the street and all of the infrastructure and all the utilities, if we can treat it at the source, rather than transfer it over to this other huge facility, that makes more sense. Bigger and bigger and bigger and more and more and more. We've been doing that, and that's not working so well. So I'm more for individualizing where we can, there's a certain amount of infrastructure that has to be. But I yield.
Thank you. All right, the next question comes from Doug. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm having some bandwidth problems, which is why I had my camera off. My question is, with so much of Hawaii's residential housing being sold to non-residents, how do we prevent non-residents and investment corporations from driving the cost of our housing up? And I believe
This is,
Karl answers first.
yeah, this is Greg. Lila, were you able to hear that? I mean, if not, maybe we could have you repeat for Doug because it was a little spotty.
All right, it's posted with so much of Hawaii's housing being sold to non-residents. How do we prevent non-residents and corporate investors from driving up the cost of our housing?
Great question, and that is a problem for the affordable housing and many other issues. Citizenship, you have to be a citizen to legally, live in the United States and in the states and cities. I think a residency clause would be a good thing. And if you're not a resident, you would pay, you could set up a system and a structure, and that's not really a policy of enforcement per se. Then they would have a choice if they want to invest their money, and then like the streets, these big developers, if they want to come in and build these high rises and everything, and take over these houses and own all of these short-term rentals and all this stuff, then they should have to kick in for the infrastructure, utilities, and all that stuff, instead of putting the burden on the taxpayers. And also the offshoots it affects our housing market, it affects the cost of living. So if we want to have folks, come and determine what we're going to live like and how much we're going to pay, there should be a process to stop that, or at least put restrictions on it so that we can live local, because Hawaii is going the wrong direction. More and more, everything's getting more expensive, and the people have less control of what happens and who is running our state. Outside investment, if you're going to invest in something, then invest. Don't just come in and cause problems and cause the prices to go up. That's not really fair trade. That's not fair to the citizens. I would be for putting restrictions on land ownership by residency, and let it be up to the people to decide if they want it or if they don't. I would put out a lot of ballot initiatives. That's one thing that we need to change in this state. A citizen cannot, or a group of people does not have the right to have a.
All right, go ahead, Choon.
Aloha, this has been a conversation for us. I've been in real estate, and I have seen actually on a national level, foreign countries like China, Saudi Arabia, buying lands, property farms and properties around port and just huge commercial enterprises. So much of the US now is owned by foreign owners, whether we like it or not, because of the Constitution. So I feel like there has got to be a national Constitution amendment to protect the national security of the US, if nothing else. Again, back to the US Constitution, we cannot discriminate and we cannot prevent anybody from buying based on that US Constitution. But having said that, I really feel that we need to all again come together, when I'm the mayor, I really would like to gather the nation's best constitutional legal experts and just look through it and see how we can gear it to Hawaii ourselves. How, because there are many ways of skinning a cat. And especially there are clauses where, you know, if you are applying for UH, if you are a resident, you can get a break in the tuition. So I think that there are ways of doing it that we just need to get everyone together and really have a big powwow. And of course, we're not going to invite the investors and the developers. We're just going to invite Kama'aina local people who really want to stay here and not be priced out of paradise. I believe there are ways of doing that. I believe that our Oahu or Hawaii should be governed by the people. It should be our agenda. Our agenda should not be determined by investors and developers, our state people, international investment, whatever. We can get together and find a solution with our legal scholars. Thank you.
Thank you. There were two audience members that had questions. Karen, do you still have a question for our candidates?
Sorry,
Okay.
I was muted. Actually, the conversation has been very interesting. I was looking at Thomas Brandt's question, which I thought was a really good one, and related to this last one, which is a creation of an empty homes tax on the county level. So that's a good question.
All right. Would you like to answer that? It would be first be the empty homes tax.
One more time? Oh, let me read it. Okay. All right. You know, I am all for listening to all suggestions. But even after having you know, talk about empty home taxes, we have got to remember that there are also private property rights. And for every empty home, there may be a reason for it. It could be that a person has to leave to the mainland for medical services because we don't have all the medical you know, resources here. It could be that somebody has to live here for a while to take care of their grandchildren because the parents are getting a divorce. And so that as many people as there are here, there are as many unique circumstances. When we just want to just put a mass or a burn across something like that, we have to be so careful because supply impacts. Having said that, I think that we certainly should look more carefully at how we can control investments. You know, for me, seriously, if it's bought versus a local person who is working military, but they want to buy a home first here so that they can come back and retire. So there's just so many variable circumstances, but whatever it is, we need to talk about it, and we should have a big table for everyone to talk about. But the bottom line is we want to put residents first. And whatever we can do, whatever legal resources that we have, we want to put residents first so we can protect Hawaii, we can protect its Kama'aina, we can protect its own people first. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to welcome anybody. It's going to be residents first.
Thank you, Karl. Your response, please.
I would have to see more details on the empty home tax, but just on the surface, a tax, that would be talking about a tax after the fact, after they buy the property. I think it's a better plan to stop it from happening to start with. And yes, we've got, I forget the exact numbers, but there's several thousand of homes which are owned and they don't live here. And that shouldn't have been allowed to happen. It should have been dealt with a long time ago, but special interest and money in the pockets of politicians, they let it go, let it go, let it go. I'm not really big on more taxes, more taxes. Actually, I'd like to see less and less and less. And we could do that by avoiding the situations to start with, and better planning, and work together and let the people decide. Like I was saying before, the people in Hawaii don't have the right of ballot initiatives. They have, if you want to change something as a community, you have to go through the legislature. Hawaii is one of the very few states that don't allow for ballot initiatives by the public. And that needs to change because that's our constitutional right. That's how we get things done. People can have their voices heard through ballot initiatives. And that's one of my big priorities, to restore that right to Hawaii, especially Honolulu City and County. If the people want something, they should be able to get it on the ballot, and not have to go through the legislature, the ones that are causing the problems. They should have a right to ballot initiatives. And that would be a great solution and a great tool to start the checks and balances. And then if they pass these laws in the legislature and they know that could be a ballot initiative come out against it, they're going to think twice. And the way it is now, they just do whatever they want, and you can go down there and protest all you want, and they're just going to do what they want anyway. Through the right of the people to have a ballot initiative, which should be a right under the First Amendment, right of redress for grievances. And I like that way more.
All right, thank you very much. Thomas, Karen asked a question about the empty homes tax, so I hope you don't mind, because of time constraints, we're going to forego your next question. We will give each candidate 2 minutes up to 2 minutes for a closing statement. We're going to start with Karl, finish with Choon, and then Greg Misakian, our Kokua Council's president, will provide a closing statement for the board. Okay, so Karl, your statement, please.
Once again,
closing statement.
I'd like to thank you all. This is not a very big gesture to the community, especially in this current election cycle, since there's not going to be any debates and very few forums. Thank you all for doing this so that we can get our voices out there and get a different point of view out there. I'm more for the individual resident, the house, the family, and growing. Just uncontrolled growth is not the answer for Hawaii. More laws, more restrictions, more this, more this. It's not working so far. We need to find a different direction, get more individual, get the people back involved, get the people back interested, give the people the rights and the authority to direct what happens in Hawaii. We're the ones living here, and we need to stop shoving it down their throat and turn Hawaii back to a better direction, where we, the people, determine what happens in Hawaii. And if we don't like something as we, the people, we should have a right to get a ballot initiative, a right to stop it, a right to voice our opinions, a right to stand together and stand up. The government is supposed to be working for us, not babysitting us, not changing our diapers, not telling us what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And that's not the direction. We need to get back to individuals give them our rights back, and with that comes responsibility. And I thank you guys for doing this. I hope because of this that we will have more forums and other people will step up to the plate and have this conversation. Because if we don't ever sit down and have a conversation, we're not going to change things.
Thank you very much, Karl. Choon, your closing statement, please.
Aloha, I love Oahu. The fact that I have been involved for over 20 years at the City Hall shows my commitment to Oahu. And I'm originally from Singapore. And again, it is very frustrating to see a lot of things being done in such a poor manner. And I know everybody's trying, but I have a vision of Oahu where we can be cleaner, we can be more beautiful, we can be more efficient, and we can definitely not burden our people with more taxes and more taxes. There's no reason why a city hall cannot contain its costs and cut out the pork. It is a matter of will. And I want to have a culture where it's transparent and honest and efficiency, and where it restores trust back to the office. I have no money from lobbyists or special interests. I cannot be bought and sold. And we must contain the Honolulu rail runaway cost. That is the biggest monster that is going to price us out of house and home. We must not just let status quo happen. We must take control of it. We can, but we have to be the ones inside the system so we can make the change to protect ourselves, to protect our children. And I ask you to help me spread the word to the grassroots that we, the people here, can do a better job. And I want to thank you again for doing this, for stepping up. I know it's a lot of work, but thank you again. And I love you all. And I also want to do that property tax cap for Kupuna. That is so critical.
Thank you very much, Choon. Thank you very much, Karl. And here is Greg Misakian, Kokua Council's board.
Okay, well, first I want to thank everyone for dealing with a little bit of the chat questions at the end. It's the first time actually that we've incorporated that into an element where we've actually responded to a couple of those. So it's not something we normally do. It is something that was organic today, and I think it was fine that we had a few of those questions. In the future, it's something to look at as far as maybe getting the general membership or people in the public able to submit questions to us in advance so that we can look at those questions and then field them and see which ones we think are best to ask during these forums. We do have another forum tomorrow. It's going to be with the candidates from the District 23. They're running for State House District 23. So if you are able to join us, it will be at the same time tomorrow on the 23rd. And I would like to thank all of the candidates today. I have all of them. We had 2 of them, but I'd like to thank Choon James and Karl Dix for joining us. And we wish you very well in your campaigning in the future. And as I said at our last candidate forum, where the incumbent candidate also chose not to participate, democracy works best when all candidates join together in debates and forums. That's something that I think we all should remember going forward. And I hope that in the future that we don't have situations where candidates choose not to participate just because they don't want to sit side by side because they are the incumbent and they don't want to answer questions. And I also want to thank our directors for their work to organize these forums, and especially Lila Moore for moderating. There's a lot of work behind the curtain that goes into these. So again, thank you everyone, and we wish you well. Mahalo.
Thank you very much.